What's up YouTube? Today we are doing a video about Yasuo and Yone build paths because I want to do like a very in-depth video about their items because I get asked the question a lot. So I just want a video where I can just link it whenever anyone asks like what item is good on Yone and Yasuo. So obviously the starting item is going to be either Doran's Blade or D-Shield for both of them. For Yasuo it's usually D-Blade just because you have a shield and Yone does not, so I usually just want to be more aggressive and he doesn't get poked out as hard. So yeah, Doran's Blade for Yasuo usually, but there are some circumstances where I would go D-Shield on Yasuo, like against Azir. Azir's a really annoying matchup. Honestly, that's probably the only matchup that I go D-Shield on. But for Yone, usually always want to go D-Shield because I usually go Conquer on Yone, and we will get to the runes in a bit after the items. But yeah. D-Shield is usually for Yone, D-Blade usually for Yasuo. Obviously you get a potion, refill on your first back, yellow ward, etc. Okay, so for your first back, if you have 1100 gold, usually I would get Berserkers. It's just the highest spike. It's been like this since season 7, I think. Just huge spike, very good. But sometimes you don't want to do it. Like, okay, there are some matchups where even if you back with 1100 gold, it's bad to get Berserkers. Which sounds weird. Like, let's say you're against Zed or Renekton, and you're playing Yone Yasuo. Are you really gonna rush Berserker Greaves just because you back with 1100 gold? Like, no. If you come back to lane with 1 Dorans and Berserker Greaves, there's no way. There's no way you're gonna live, so. I would only do this against, like, when you're not too far behind, it's not like a super pokey lane. And if you back without 1100 gold, or if you're against a harder lane, double Dorans is really good, like against Renekton, you're against Katarina, Zed. Champions where like if they kill you in lane, the game's like really bad, and that's what they need to do. If they need a snowball, you want double Doran's Blade on both champions. It's really good. Cole is pretty good if you're against an easy lane. Let's say you're playing Yasuo in a Twisted Fate, just free gold, or you're just already winning the lane, like against Orianna. I think it's really good. And then a Longsword Dagger, just like buy these with your extra gold. Don't like get too many. Like if you get Berserker Greaves, do not buy another dagger. You want a good mix of attack speed and AD. So if you already bought the Berserker Greaves, then build a Longsword. So you can have good AD, good attack speed. And your core items haven't changed. Well, I mean, people used to go Gale Force, which I always thought was bad. In my opinion, ever since preseason when Shieldbow was out, this was always the go-to item. Yeah, always go Shieldbow. Always go Shieldbow. I get asked this a lot. They're a Gale Force, Shieldbow, Kraken. Always. This item is too OP. It is way too OP on Yasuo and Yone. Biggest 1v9 potential. Always go Shieldbow, please. And second item is usually Infinity Edge for both of them. At least for Yasuo. If you don't go IE second on Yasuo, it feels like you do no damage. With Yone, I think you can get away with going Bloodthirster, probably if they're all squishy and you go Conquer on Yone. I'll just leave this as the core for now because you can't really, it's not really bad in any game if you go both these items. And then all the situational items. Your third item really depends on the game. So Death Stance, you don't really want to go this that often. You're only going to go Death Stance third after your core if they are like really heavy AD. Like I mean like really heavy, like 4 AD. Don't even go this. If they have like a Syndra, you don't want this. Let's say they have a Fed Syndra, but 3 AD. You still don't want this, because the Syndra is just going to like one-shot you. Unless you're planning on one-shotting the Syndra. But yeah. I really don't like this item. It's really not cost efficient unless they're like really heavy AD. And you just want the armor. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this item. It's good sometimes though. If you are very ahead, I think GA is really good. Just better than Death Stance and cheaper if just a one-time use thing. Like let's say the game is really close and next Baron fight, and you can only afford a GA. Like get the GA. It's gonna be really good because if you win that Baron fight, you win the game. And then Visage is really good third if they are heavy AP or only their AP is fed. This is my favorite MR item for Yasuo Yone, just because you go Shieldbow. It's gonna help a lot with your shields, the shield of the Shieldbow, your passive shield, Yone's W. The lifesteal, just a really, really OP item. And it's very common, you see Bloodthirster third too. I like Bloodthirster third if I'm already like ahead and they're not gonna like one-shot me anyway. And if they have mixed damage, because it does make you tanky too, right? It gives you a little shield. and that's gonna help against both damages. So if they're like really split on damage, it's like I don't really want Visage because they have a lot of AD damage, so it's not gonna help me. But I don't want Death Stance because they also have AP. It's like you can go Bloodthirster. Gives you a shield, helps against everything, gives you more AD, more lifesteal. Gonna make you very hard to kill with both shields of Shield Bow Bloodthirster. Lord Doms is also an option. I think it is very slept on, honestly. I think on Yasuo it's a little weird because of his R passive, but Yone, just because he does like half and half magic damage, it's not actually half and half. Like if you check the damage in your games, you do like 80%. You do like 80% AD damage, then 20% AP. Or it's like it depends on the game. But yeah, if they're like heavy tanky, you're all AD. They have like 200 armor. You should get this item, or you're just not gonna do damage. They have like a 300 armor Mundo with 3000 health. You need this item to kill him. So this one, obvious. I don't like this item. It's pretty bad. Honestly, what item is better? What's the mace one? I don't think you ever get this item actually. Probably this one's better. It gives the same AD, but it gives you 300 HP, and it gives more MR. So if you're gonna get a QSS item, I'm pretty sure this one's already better because you already have 100% crit. This would give you more damage because the extra crit would turn into AD, but I'm pretty sure 300 HP would be better. So yeah, if you need QSS against Malzahar, Skarner, I would get this. A lot of people on the stream actually found it weird that I bought tank items, but you only need like 2 damage items on Yone at least. For Yasuo, you may need like Shibo, IU, Bloodthirster, but for Yasuo, or for Yone, after you get these 2 items, you do plenty of damage. So yeah, Randuin's is really good if you're against like multiple AD carries, and you don't need the anti-heal. So if you're against like 2 crit, let's say you're against a Lucian mid, Tristana bot, Thornmail, very good. Gives you so much armor, good HP, very good item. I don't build this very often, just because Visage is just the better item. But let's say they are 4 AP. You can go Visage and Force of Nature. I haven't built this item this season, but if you really want it, it makes you really slippery. I wouldn't build this on Yone, just because Yone already has movement speed. But Yasuo struggles to get onto people sometimes. The extra movement speed is really going to help. If they're like 4 AP, Visage is always better though. Visage is always better. It's just if you're getting 2 MR items, get Force of Nature and Visage. You just can't die. Bork, if they stack a lot of HP but not a lot of armor. I don't build this item very often, don't think you really need it, but maybe if you're playing top Yasuo into a Maokai or a Scion, it's a good first item spike. Have not built this item, but it's the same thing as Force of Nature. So you're playing Yasuo, you need extra movement speed, they're all AD. After you get like a Death Dance, you can go into Dead Man's too. Just if you really want the movement speed, same concept of this. Wit's End, I think, is a pretty bad item. I wouldn't really recommend this. Again, only if they're like 5 AP and you don't need the movement speed. Very rarely you're going to get this item, but if you do get this item, obviously sell your Berserkers, get Tabby, get Mercs, depending on the game. And then for the 2 anti-heal items, I would never get Mortal Reminder. I think Mortal Reminder is really bad, because these 2 crit items are just too good, and you don't really want a third one. So for your anti-heal, if you want extra damage and more HP, actually this gives more HP. But if you just want extra damage, Hempunk is better. Makes you tankier, gives you more AD, Immortal, I think. But the big thing is it gives you HP, so that's really good. And then Thornmail, if you want to be, if they're heavy AD and you just want to be really tanky, a lot of armor. I never build Immortal. These anti-heal items are just better. So yeah, if they don't have AD and you want anti-heal, get this. If they have AD and you need armor, get this. And the last 2 sections, Gale Force, no. Do not build this item on Yone Yasuo. Please. I still see it built sometimes. Especially even in pro games. It is so bad. Like, please, please, do not build this item. It is so much worse than Shield Bow. This item is just so much better. Like, it's 5 more AD, like, nice. You get 1 little dash. 1 little dash when you're already so slippery. It's so pointless. You need to be tanky. You don't need this item. It's really bad. And then alternative builds. I wouldn't recommend these, but if you really don't like Shield Buff for whatever reason, even though it's broken, you can go Kraken BT Sterix. I don't do this build, but I mean, it's more damage early. Kind of awkward. I don't know. I just put the section, just if you really don't like the Shield Buff build, you could try it. Kraken, Bloodthirster, Sterix. You can try that build, and also 2 other builds where you rush PD or rush Mortal. It's a better early spike, but in the long run, it's gonna get outscaled by shield bow build. So yeah, you could try this if you just want the early spike. Feels kind of good early game, but does not scale as hard as shield bow. So yeah, that is for Yasuo and Yone, by the way. This is, I can't put both images, so it's for both champions. And we will go to, I want to talk about the runes too, real fast. Runes for Yasuo, always go Conqueror. I think Fleet on Yasuo is always bad. I think he does no damage without Conqueror. Last Stand is always more damage, Triumph, Alacrity, basic stuff. Then for Yasuo, I think it's always Taste of Blood, Ravenous, just because you're always fighting on this champ, so you're always getting value, you're scaling. I think it's better. Then for Yone, I do a little bit differently. Personally, I go Conquer every game on Yone. I feel like it gives you the best carry potential. But if you're struggling and laning with Yone, you can also just go Fleet and this. This makes the early game a lot easier, but I mean, it just doesn't make you scale as hard. So I think this is why you see it in competitive, because in competitive, they're not trying to 1v9, right? That's not the point of it. So it's fine. But for solo queue, when you have Fleet and your whole team's feeding, especially in lower elos, if you have Fleet, you can't 1v9 in the game. You need Conqueror. But yeah, for secondary runes with Fleet, Second Wind is always really good. Unflinching if they have a lot of CC. Revitalize, let's say if you're bot lane and you're laning with like a Yuumi, or you have a Yuumi on your team, it's gonna be really good late game. And I like Shield Bash currently. Shield Bash is really good. Just because every time you trade with Yone or Yasuo, they pop your shield, get a Shield Bash proc, you get a little tankier. You go in with Yone, you W, you get really tanky, do extra damage. Like, it's a defensive rune that also does damage. So that's pretty insane, in my opinion. I like it a lot. Last one I would get is Bone Plating. Bone Plating, let's say I'm against a Renekton, Shield Bash Bone Plating, very, very good. I don't need to sustain that matchup, I just need to not die. So when he goes on me, pop Bone Plating, take a lot less damage, get tanky from Shield Bash, it's really good. Then if I'm against an Azir, who's gonna poke me, Second Wind, Shield Bash. Get the extra sustain, every time I go on the Azir, do some more damage. Really good. Also, if you're going Fleet, I think Coup de Grace is better, just because you're gonna be high HP a lot. But, I mean, Last Stand's probably still better. Really, the Coup is just not that good, I guess. Last Stand's always gonna outscale it. And last thing I wanted to talk about with Conqueror, as I was saying, I always take Conqueror on Yone, because just more carry potential, and always take Second Wind. Take Second Wind, these runes, and go D-Shield. Just go D-Shield, Second Wind, and you should be able to survive the lane. But let's say you're against an Orianna. Orianna's a really hard lane. Or Azir. It's gonna poke you a lot. Sometimes D-Shield Second Wind's not gonna be enough unless you take Fleet. So how to manage that is that, let's go to summon your spells. If you're taking Conqueror Second Wind on Yone, take TP against Orianna. You're not going to need the Ignite early game to kill her, so you just want to scale up a TP back when you get poked, come back, get your sustain. As soon as you get Vamp Scepter, you're in a fine spot. So that's when I would take TP. You're against an Orianna, Azir, take TP. You don't need to kill them early, you just need to scale up, don't get poked, and then you can keep your Conqueror instead of Fleet. And you're going to be way stronger in the late game than 1v9 carry. And obviously, usually we take Ignite if we're against like Assassins, Katarina, Sylas, Echo, Conquer Ignite, really good. And Exhaust, I would only take Exhaust against like Zed. Zed, maybe Kiana. Maybe Kiana. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, and last thing, about the TP thing, do not take TP on Yasuo in my opinion. This is only a Yone thing. Just because Yasuo doesn't get poked as easily, and Yone does. So yeah, TP only for Yone if you're taking Conqueror. Do not take Fleet TP. I think Fleet TP is usually bad in solo queue. TP for Yone if you're against control mages. If you're against Assassins, Conquer, Ignite. Yasuo, Conquer, Ignite like always. And yeah, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video and you want more content like this, just like, subscribe below, and there will be more. Peace.